NUU Mobile G3 and G3 Plus review. Design. The design of both the NUU Mobile G3 and G3 Plus is identical. There is no difference between them even in dimensions. The entire phone is made of glass and metal, just like most phones these days. The materials feel really nice. One could argue it doesn't feel as premium as a flagship, but I think it's not far off. The front of the phones have a decent-sized 5.7 HD Plus display with nice slim side bezels. The top and bottom bezels are much more noticeable and large, but this is a budget phone, so we can't expect all the bells and whistles. The front also houses the 13-megapixel front camera, sensors, earpiece, and a nice LED notification light. Turning the phone over, you'll find a nice glass back with a nice pattern that reflects in the right light. There is the fingerprint sensor, dual 13/15 megapixel cameras, LED flash, and the NUU Mobile branding. Surrounding both pieces of glass is a nice metal frame. Display. The NUU Mobile G3 series has a 5.7 HD Plus display, which gives you a decent 1440 by 720 resolution. This is certainly one of the main reasons these phones are priced in the budget range. That being said, while I prefer at least an FHD display at 1920 by 1080 on a smartphone, this display isn't bad at all, just lower resolution. So you'll still be able to enjoy HD content, but at 720p resolution. That all being said, the colors on this display are very nice. They are vibrant and clean and somewhat punchy. The blacks are acceptable. Not as deep as other more expensive displays, but for the price, this is very acceptable. Whites are very clean and bright as well, and text is easy to read, no issues at all. Videos and photos look very nice on the display. You really don't see a major difference between this HD Plus display and better FHD Plus displays. I'll keep repeating this throughout the review. For the price, I don't think buyers of the NUU Mobile G3, G3 Plus will complain at all about this panel. Overall, this is a great panel for the money. Of course, you will see the difference if you held this up side by side to a higher-end smartphone, but your wallet will probably thank you. Software. The NUU Mobile G3 and G3 Plus both run Android 8.0 Oreo out of the box. This is somewhat of a disappointment, as it is not the latest Android version. I would have liked to see NUU Mobile use Android 9.0 Pie on this device. Google is already working on the next version of Android, which will come later this year. So it feels like this device may be behind even if it gets Pie this year. But there is good news. NUU Mobile does say they will be upgrading the G3 and G3 Plus to Android Pie this year. That being said, Android 8 is still nice and it runs well on the G3, G3 Plus. For the most part, the interface looks like stock Android. NUU Mobile uses Google Photos as your default gallery app. It uses Android Messages and Android Dialer for your texting and phone calls. There is little to no bloatware on the phones, which is a huge plus. Overall, the software here runs just fine. It would have been nice to see Android 9.0 instead of 8.0, but again, for the umpteenth time, they are budget smartphones and Pie is supposed to be coming. Camera. The camera on the NUU Mobile G3 and G3 Plus is acceptable. It's certainly not going to compete with higher-end phones, but it does a good enough job that I think most people will be happy. Like most budget or mid-range cameras, it does fairly well in good lighting conditions, so you won't have any issues with outdoor photos or indoor photos with good lighting. Low light situations are where budget cameras don't do so great. To be honest with you, sometimes even flagship cameras can suck in low light. The advantage higher-end phones have is their AI and software capabilities that can help with low light conditions. Still, in the right conditions, these cameras can give you nice, clean and vibrant photos. For the most part, I think most users considering budget smartphones are prepared to deal with results from a camera like this. Overall, these phones have good front and rear cameras for good lighting conditions. They don't do so great in low light, but that's not going to be a deal breaker for the users considering this device. Battery life. Battery life on the G3 was acceptable. It got me through the day for the most part. A few times, depending on what I was doing, I had to charge it a few hours before bedtime. The G3 Plus, with a battery that is 1000 mAh bigger, did a better job. Most days it had at least 30% left in the tank at the end of the day. Battery life is going to be different for everyone. It really depends on how you use it and what settings you have.